Okay. Yeah. Here we are. Saturday Beard Live with Justin, the 3-year beard. Welcome, guys. Happy 4th of July. I know you guys are probably excited about this. If you're an American patriot, hats off to you. I'm not wearing my hat right now, but I'm definitely celebrating the Yuletide year of the July 4th with some fireworks. I got some fireworks right here. Went to my local grocery store, got some sparklers, got some smokers, been popping it too. It's gonna be some poppets, and of course, I'm just a father with a 7-month beard right now, and I'm enjoying the 4th of July because I'm an American. I'm a patriot. I like to be, seen as a guy who loves their country, and I do love America. So thank you so much. Thank you for the amount of greatness that America has shown in the last 250 years of the USA. Um, I've been born and raised here, so I know nothing else other than the American pride. So I'm very prideful about America. I will continue to be prideful when I continue to live here. Um, I love the world. I love the country. I love everyone, but I love America because I live here. So thank you so much for your patriotism, for all the hard work, all the efforts that have been, just throughout the 250 years of our nation, and it's thriving, striving to create better diplomacy, better democracy, better everything that America has laid out so far. So thank you so much. I hope you guys are enjoying your 4th of July. I'm on here a little bit earlier. I'm just enjoying the barbecue. I'm enjoying the tequila. You guys, you'll see me, of course, like with a white beard and like some video game attire, some like interesting wall decor on obviously some beards, dads with beards. I'm a father. I'm enjoying this day. I wanted to come on a little earlier because me and my daughter were going to be playing some video games together, but this is what I've been making on the grill. mm, 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 mm. Cheeseburgers with different assortment of dogs. Cheeseburgers and dogs, guys. It's the best. That's a piece of something else. Guys, I hope you guys are enjoying your 4th. Yeah, everything is going fine over here. Having a great time grilling. I'm the grill master, of course. I haven't posted today's short today, but I will be later on. I'm just gonna wait until I'm gonna fire off these little bad boys. These, sparklers, smokers, and poppets. Be doing that. Just a quick little one, for the evening time. The fireworks are gonna go off. We got a bunch of like neighbors that fire their own fireworks, and it's almost like they got to go to probably about an hour and a half away to pick them up, outside of Vegas. But hey, it's all good because this is the time to remember patriotism, to remind us about the American history, which leads me to my next transition, the bearded legend of the week. Today's bearded legend is John Brown. John Brown, obviously, I knew nothing about, but I mean, clearly, when you look at this guy's beard, this guy looks like he is very intimidating, especially with his, you know, his beardiness. He's got a big beard. Look at him, great beard. Gotta love it. I haven't checked online though if I'm actually live. I think I am. Haven't checked so far. Yeah, I'm live. So, anyways, back to John Brown. John Brown, one of the most recognizable beards in American history. His rugged, unmistakable beard became part of his public image, a pivotal figure in the events leading to the American Civil War. So this is back in, he was born in May 9th, 1800, like literally the 1800, to December 2nd, 1859. So he was 59 years old, lived as an American radical abolitionist whose fierce armed crusade against slavery became a major catalyst for American Civil War. Driven by intense Calvinist faith and religious conviction, Brown believed he was chosen by God to violently dismantle slavery after decades of peaceful efforts had failed. That's an awesome patriot right there. If that shows anything about America, that's like this person, not only with an awesome beard. I'm gonna like transition over to this picture of his beard. I mean, look at him. He looks like he can be, a Picasso with a huge beard. I mean, look at that hair. Looks like, also James Jackson or something, some other president that had that amazing, flow of hair on top of his head and in his beard. So this guy is definitely very intimidating. I'm going to go into some of the key facts and conflicts about John Brown. First one, Bleeding Kansas. In 1856, Brown led an anti-slavery guerrilla group during a violent territorial conflict over the expansion of slavery. His directive, Potawatomi Massacre, executing 5 pro-slavery settlers with broadswords. Pro-slavery settlers with broadswords. Okay, back in the day, I'm pretty sure they had guns and rifles, but how crazy do you have to be to execute someone with broadswords? I mean, those are just like big old swords. What are they doing? I can't imagine, but I'm pretty sure, if it was an actual, public execution, which back in the day they probably did a lot of public executing, I'm pretty sure that would have been a most horrific thing to witness as an execution. I mean, come on, executing someone with a broadsword, that's crazy. So, again, leading into another incident in Missouri Raid, for the Missouri Raid in 1858, his forces raided slaveholders in Missouri, liberating 11 enslaved people and escorting them over 1,000 miles to freedom in Canada. Man, this guy is he's he's radically, going against the slavery, distribution in that time. And he showed not only through his actions, but rather he showed through almost a very radical form of action when it comes to killing people, escorting people 1,000 miles. This guy was extreme, I want to say. That's the point I'm trying to make. This guy is extreme patriot. And we don't see a lot of people like that today for some reason, So, anyways, the next one, raid on Harper's Ferry. On October 16, 1859, Brown led an army party of 21 men to seize the federal arsenal in Harper's Ferry, Virginia. He intended to spark a massive slave uprising across the South. I mean, again, this guy's trying to throw a wrench in the cog in terms of how slavery was, attributed back in the day. Unfortunately, when you keep going back, every single country, every single part of the world had slaves, and unfortunately, right now we're showing that these types of people that have so much influence with beards almost changed the entire infrastructure of how society was ran back in the day. I mean, you couldn't have a farm, you couldn't have your goods and services without slaves back in the day. So it was a very form of cheap labor that, unfortunately had sort of more of an impact of ownership, which I'm glad that we're out of slavery. Ever since, Abe Lincoln, who was one of our other beard legendaries, he abolished the slave trade, by allowing the, the next the, like the people who own slaves to free them, not only free them, but the slaves can now own their own land. Unfortunately, we saw what happened when you know the assassination of Abe Lincoln, and then sooner or later there was another person that came in who was a Democrat and also kind of seized that opportunity for slaves to own their own land. Mind you, again, that doesn't seem like true patriotism to me. That seems like just people trying to still own their slaves, and a party that wants to continue that legacy, as opposed to a Republic Party like Abe Lincoln wanting to abolish the entirety of slavery, which we eventually did, which is great because now everyone can own land if you do your own hard work. If you become a patriot of America, you're obviously going to contribute into society, you're going to assimilate into American culture, and you're going to be a good asset in American interest. So, again, John Brown was a great American interest that not only helped shape the idea of what America could be, but to radically change the entirety of what people were doing back in the day in terms of their economic scale. But yeah, going into capture and legacy, I'm having a great day, by the way. Honestly, I woke up with a nice cup of coffee. I switched over from like the little pods. I now have like one of those reusable pods, so I'm not like continuing to use the plastic and stuff. So like I'm getting a really good, and I'm getting like fresh ground coffee, so I'm getting the real flavor of coffee. So I'm really appreciating that. It's a big difference. If you guys have like any time, if you enjoy drinking coffee, and you don't want to like continue to make pots of coffee and everything, but you want to use your Keurig, you want to use your pods, use that. Amazon has plenty of good ones. Like it's all stainless steel. It's you just pour the ground in, and then you top it, and then you put it in like you would a regular Keurig pod, and it's great. It's awesome. But I can't, ever since I switched over, I had a lot better time. Plus, I'm drinking a little bit of tequila. I'm having a really good time. I'm 42 years old. I'm an adult. I was barbecuing. So, anyways, back to John Brown. His capture and legacy, the Harper's Ferry raid, failed to draw local support and was crushed by U.S. Marines by Colonel Robert E. Lee. Brown was captured, tried for murder, treason against Virginia, and inciting insurrection, and was executed by hanging. Whew, man, people were really like savages back in the day. Like, and they made it a point. If you go against the American patriotism and you go against the American interest, they will see they will see fit that they'll easily get rid of you. Bit like anyways. I wish that America had a little bit more of that stern type of just like being able to hold yourself accountable for actions and crimes and stuff against humanity, against American interest, American everything, because I do believe in my heart that America is one of the best places in the world to live in right now, and that's why we're constantly getting people from other countries wanting to move over here, because we have not only our economic class scale and opportunity to become whatever you want. No other place has that, except I would say maybe Japan or like other very progressive economic / like technological advancements that these societies and these towns and cities have. You can tell like a good a place that is really striving to become better than living in huts or living, which is not bad. I mean, like honestly, if you want a country to live in sort of like these huts, and they want to collect malaria as easily without vaccines and stuff, that's fine. I'm not judging any other country that want to like lower their technological status in terms of how they live. I'm not trying to say that, but what I do say is, in terms of that economic scale, class, technological leap, America has done it more than anyone else. America, number one in my heart. So again, let's continue with his capture and legacy of John Brown. His final written prophecy stated that the crimes of his guilty land will never be purged away but with blood. Accurately, man, That's an interesting quote. Crimes of this guilty land will never be purged away but with blood. And unfortunately, we have seen a lot of this, type of examples. These examples that include these extreme versions of changing societies. And unfortunately, we can't just like go out with a whimper. We have to go out with a bang, right? Obviously it's 4th of July. We're going to be going out with a bang every single time, every single year, because we got fireworks. We got these little poppers. We got these little smoke bombs. And the idea of going out with a bang means that you're going to essentially, you know, go with like blood. It's not going to be pretty. It's going to go, pretty, forcefully and with violence and stuff. And unfortunately, that's the case. I wish that we had different ways of approaching, conflicts and ways to, being able to, understand each other and then have that diplomacy and then just not go for violence and war and stuff. But there are people out there that want America to die. And for that reason, we need to protect ourselves as Americans. If you're an American, your American interest is more important than any other country outside of America. And that should be true to every other country, right? Because that's how every other country operates. But again, I keep like diverging away from the actual bearded legend, which is John Brown. His remains deeply polarizing historical figure, viewed by some as a heroic martyr, and by others as a violent extremist. So again, once a society do not get what they want, if like there's other higher powers that are interested in keeping that legacy of slavery, there's going to be true patriots that are not going to go quietly like John Brown. John Brown was not and I should have just like, kept going from this. Look, this is what someone drew John Brown to be. I mean, this guy, not only threw a tornado right behind him, but flames right behind him. He's holding up a rifle and probably the Declaration of Independence or something like that. I can't be too sure, but look at his beard, man. Look at his beard. His beard is something that you not want to be reckoned with. I mean, look at this guy. This guy is like, oh, thank you, Mr. John Brown. Everyone calls us Brown, but you are the true John Brown. I mean, look at his face, guys. Look at his ruthless face. He did not go with any intention for peace. He went for that extreme. He went for the extreme. He's a martyr. And, I mean, honestly, sometimes, societies need to see that because societies, when they get really advanced and then when they get complacent, then they don't get strong. They kind of get a little bit weaker, and they kind of get a little softer and mushier. So when adversity really happens and they aren't able to change a thing like slavery, then there's going to be people like John Brown to show that. And then look, this is how he looks without a beard, and this is how he looks with a beard. Tell me who is more intimidating looking, this guy or this guy? I think it's this guy. Yeah, this guy is definitely someone you don't want to mess with, especially when he's trying to change. And here's another, drawing of him. Look, every single drawing he's depicted as a, almost like a tyrannical looking like maniac. But again, with times like these, I can imagine you need people like this to show an example of extremeness, because if you don't, there's going to be another party on the other end that show the exact same extremist as like this. Like, for instance, he was going against the slavery. He wanted to free the slaves. And so what he did was he showed a extreme side. Just imagine if you had the people that wanted to vote with and for slavery, the people that can act exactly like this man in this picture, John Brown. But just imagine if he was voting for the other side. I want my slaves. I want my this. I want to own people. I want my free my labor as they live on my farm and stuff like that. I want this. I want to keep this. And there was plenty of people exactly like John Brown on the other side. That's what I'm saying. But if the other side doesn't show this type of behavior, this type of extreme force, this type of tyrannical type of, um, you know, warlike, ideology, then of course you're going to get one side that acts just like this, and they're going to get exactly what they want. So that's why John Brown is a huge bearded legend in my eyes, because he shaped what America is almost like today, where there's no real slaves today, and there's only a slavery to the government. We are the slaves to government because unfortunately the government doesn't have our best interests. Most countries' governments don't have their best interests. But with people like John Brown, we are seeing that if a society gets pushed to its limits where we're not thriving, we're not making enough money, we are constantly suffering in terms of finances, spirituality, in terms of, disconnection from God. And he was an evangelical Christian too. America was founded by Christian morals and Christian authority. So these people, had Christianity in their hearts the whole time, and that's why people like John Brown wanted to abolish slavery, wanted to go against that grain, wanted to show something that American can be without that authoritarian type of rule. And that's what slavery is basically. It's that tyrannical authoritarian rule where a person is owned and not valued. And when you own people, when a government owns their people are not going to like the government. Just like when the slaves are being owned by their masters, their slaves are not going to like their masters. They're going to be, oh, thank you so much, mister. Thank you for giving me a place to stay. But deep down, they're not going to appreciate them. They're not going to value them. Just like the masters don't value their slaves. And that's why people like John Brown, with an amazing beard, this guy, again, look, amazing, intimidating looking beard. Can't appreciate this guy enough. And we actually had someone in the chat, John Santa Cruz. Thank you. How you doing? Usually it's my wife that comes in and says stuff in the chat, but I appreciate that. I appreciate that type of because when I went more vertically, when I went live on my phone. Oh man, that's a very dirty screen. But when I went live on my phone, there's a lot more people that came on and said hi and stuff. So I appreciate that. I don't know if it's the algorithm that's changing, but I'm enjoying today because it's the 4th of July. Thank you, John Brown, for your contributions. It kind of looks like he's cross-eyed in this picture, but I'm going to transition to this one because this is almost the real picture of John Brown. And again, he's got that thick hair, he's got that nice big thick beard, and it's white, so it almost shows wisdom, virtue, and strength, and experience. So again, everything I like about I love this guy. And the funniest part is I never knew anything about this guy up until today when I put it into ChatGPT and says, hey, who can I use as a bearded legend for the 4th of July today? And then the ChatGPT wanted to do something similar where it wanted to revisit another bearded legend that we already covered, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to make it a different person, because there's plenty of bearded legends out there. We haven't even scratched the surface of how many bearded legends there are. So there's plenty of opportunities to introduce a new person like James Brown. Not James Brown. Hi, I feel good, 'cause I'm freeing the slaves. I knew that I would. not James Brown, but John Brown, not to be associated with also Charlie Brown. But again, guys, I'm having fun on 4th of July. I wanted to come on a little bit earlier because I got plenty of things to do on 4th of July, and I know you do too. But I wanted to come on because it's Saturday. It's time to talk about beards. It's time to go live. It's time to talk about a bearded legend. So thank you, John Brown, for your bearded legendary contribution to America. And I wish that people would, I wish classes would know about this type of, extreme, ness. And I think there's another, like, Washington was also kind of kind of a psycho a little bit. If you hear some other people, like comedians, talk about, I think, not Bill Burr, but this other dude. Man, I can't think of his name, but yeah, they've talked about how George Washington was also like kind of like a, he was a little bit of a nutball, like extremist and everything, and it's people like, our American patriots that shape our country in what it's now to be. And we have 250 years officially to celebrate that idea of America trying to become the better America that we know, that we should know. And it was all about these Europeans. It was all about these guys that came from Europe that wanted to colonize, America, and they did so, for the last 250 years, and it's become the best place to live on Earth. And I say that, those flat earthers, they're going to say, no, there's actually another place outside of the ice wall that, has another, more technological place. You know what? Then go there. If you're able to go there, then go there. But, I think the earth is a little bit more rounder than it, says it. And if it is flat, who cares, right? The only idea is America in the, in the ability to, go and fly there, because we can't fly past the ice wall apparently, but the most accessible country to live in is America, hands down, number one. All right. I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to say that, anything otherwise. I'm pretty sure there's other nice places to live. Japan, maybe a little Australia, maybe a little bit of Germany, a little bit of like, Russia, a little bit of Netherlands, a little bit of, Philippines, a little bit of Mexico, a little bit of, like there's everywhere you go, there's, some pretty good tropical, oasis or like, great places to live in. But again, when it comes to the economic power of the country of the world, America is number one. And I'm glad to be alive in America. I'm very lucky I spawned into America, when I got born. So again, make what you will. I'm an American patriot. I always will be because I live in America. Living in America. Another James Brown song. But you guys have a great weekend. You guys have a great 4th of July. Enjoy the rest of your barbecues and your sparklers and your fireworks. I will see you next time. I'll be posting later this evening a daily short, so stay tuned for that. I'll also see you tomorrow for another daily short, and I'll see you next time on Saturday for another Bearded Live. You guys have a bearded journey with your beard life. If you guys don't have beards, I'm sorry about that, but maybe, have an open mind. And also, if you're going to grow some beards, enjoy some of this beard butter as well as this beard oil from Weatherbeard. Check out Weatherbeard because Weatherbeard has like some of the best beard products you will find in the world. Their products are number one high quality, 100% natural oils made for your beards, for your skin. I've been having a great time. I use this only for my beard, and I think my beard is looking awesome and great. So check that out, Weatherbeard guys. And then tell them I sent you. Tell them the 3-year beard sent you. So again, you guys have a great 4th of July. I will see you next time for another live on Saturday. And keep on bearding on, guys. And as always, beard the cord.